ఓకే, అనురాధ గారు.
Gurubhyo Namaha. In fact, I have been following your mystic musings for some time now. I have two questions to ask. One is about the Isha Kriya, where you talk about the chanting of I am not the body, I am not the mind. When I was just seeing that video, my son, who is just 10-year-old, came and asked me, if you are not the body and if you are not the mind, you have to live with this body, with this mind until the end. Why is this being given as a chanting in that particular Isha Kriya? So I could not answer. So
Isha Kriya is not a chant. If you're doing a chant, that's called japa. This is not a chant. This is a method. You're supposed to infuse a thought into your breath because you're incapable of experiencing your breath right now. I am saying you're incapable of experiencing your breath because right now you experience only the sensations created by the passage of the air. You do not experience the breath. We're just trying to thicken the breath with a thought. You could have said anything you wanted, but we are using a certain process. This is not a chant. And anyway, yes, it is true you have to live with this body. There is a difference between living with something and believing you are that, isn't it? Is it true, both you and your son, slowly you gathered this body? Yes or no? Did you accumulate this body over a period of time, or were you born like this? You accumulated it, right? What you accumulate can be yours at the most. I will not right now dispute that. But it can never ever be you, isn't it? Right now, I have gathered this vessel. If I say I am this vessel, you will think I have gone mad, yes or no? This is a vessel that we dug out of this planet, yes? This copper vessel, we dug it out of the planet or no? This came out of the planet. This also, we dug it out of the planet, yes or no? You better understand it now. If you understand this now, you can live gracefully. Otherwise, if you get it from now, if you get it from me, you can live gracefully. Otherwise, one day you will get it from the maggots when they bury you. It'll be too late. It's best to get it now. If you understand this is not me, the ways of the body, the compulsions of the body will not be yours. You can deal with your body gracefully, you can deal with your mind gracefully. As I was speaking just a little while ago, your ability to live well on this planet is essentially how well you can harness this body and this mind. Yes or no? So if you have to harness this the way you want it, it's very important. There is a little space between you and the body. There is a little space between you and the mind. Whatever suffering, any kind of suffering that you have known in your life has entered you either through the body or through the mind. Do you know any other kind of suffering? Do you know any other kind of suffering? Physical suffering, mental suffering. There's only two things you know, isn't it? If a little distance arises between you and the body, between you and the mind, this is the end of suffering. Once there is no fear of suffering, only then you will explore the full depth and dimension of this life. Only then your life will be full stride. Otherwise it's always a half a stride, because the fear of suffering will curtail you every moment of your life. If you want to live a full-fledged life, the most important thing is the fear of suffering is gone from you. Only then you will do everything that you could do in your life. As long as fear of suffering is there, you will not even do what you can do in your life. If you do not do what you cannot do, that's not a problem. In your life, if you do not do what you can do, you're a disastrous life. And that will happen to you the moment you have fear of suffering. Many things you could do, you will not do, because you're always afraid what suffering will come out of this. So if you distance yourself from the body and the mind, even a little bit of space happens, the fear of suffering will evaporate from your life, and that's very important.
Gangadhar garu.
Namaskaram, Swamiji. I am Gangadhar Shastri. I am playback singer and music director and founder Bhagavad Gita Foundation. ప్రపంచంలో అత్యధిక ప్రాంతం అజ్ఞానాంధకారంలో మునిగిపోయున్న సమయంలో భారతదేశం ఆధ్యాత్మిక ప్రకాశంతో జాగృతమై విరాజిల్లిందని ఉపనిషత్ పీఠికలు రాసిన ఎందరో మహానుభావులు చెప్తున్నారు. ముఖ్యంగా ధర్మం అంటే ఏమిటో భారతదేశమే ప్రపంచానికి చెప్పింది. అలాంటిది ధర్మం పూర్తిగా తప్పి అన్ని వ్యవస్థలు పూర్తిగా సర్వనాశనం అయిపోతున్న స్థితిలో మనకు కనిపిస్తున్నాయి. ముఖ్యంగా శ్రేయాన్ స్వధర్మో విగుణః పరధర్మాత్ స్వనుష్ఠితాత్ స్వధర్మే నిధనం శ్రేయః పరధర్మో భయావహః. ఒక పొలిటీషియన్స్, డాక్టర్స్, లాయర్స్, ఇంజనీర్స్ అందరూ స్వధర్మం మర్చిపోయి భారతదేశం అభివృద్ధి చెందుతున్న దశ నుంచి ఇంకా స్టిల్ అదే ప్రాసెస్లో ఉన్న స్థితికి వెళుతోంది. మీ ప్రీచెస్ ద్వారా ఈ దేశాన్ని ఎలా మార్చాలనుకుంటున్నారు? ఈ దేశం ఏ దశలో ఉంది?
See, it is true that nowhere else on this planet have people looked at the inner mechanics of a human being as profoundly as this culture has looked at. Nowhere else. I have traveled everywhere in the world, met all kinds of people, both traditional and modern kinds. Nowhere else have people explored the inner nature of a human being the way it's been explored in this land. Someone like Mark Twain, when he visited India, he was here for a little more than 3.5 months and he met the right kind of people. When he left, he said, anything that can ever be done, either by man or God, has been done in this land. Profound things were done. It is true. The nation flourished and lived well at one time. But you need to understand, even if you have the best things, if you don't manage it well, it will go bad. You may be living in a palace, but if you do not take care, one day the palace will collapse on your head. This is something we need to understand. We keep on talking about the glories of the past. We as a generation of people, what have we done? That's a big question. Because after all, life is a relay race. The last generation hands it over to you in one way. If we can hand it over little better to the next generation, we've done well. If we leave it worse, we've done bad. This is all that's left, isn't it? You did not start the race, nor are you going to finish the race. You're a relay runner. You must do your best here. If this has to happen, looking back on the glories, if you are looking back for inspiration, it's fine. If you are continuously basking in past glories and not doing anything today, that's not good enough. That has been our problem. Anyway, we have seriously misunderstood Swadharma. When Krishna said Swadharma, people are thinking he talked about Hindu Dharma. No. He's talking about the law of the self, not the local law. Swa means the self. So, the ways of the self, if you live by the ways of the self, that means you will not live by the ways of your body. That means you will not live by the finickiness of your mind. Body is a compulsive process. If you go by the ways of the body, you will know only eating, sleeping and reproducing, nothing more. If you go by the ways of the mind is not even yours. Mind is seriously influenced by social and other circumstances, isn't it? It may be… your mind may be relevant for today's society. Next generation will laugh at you. Isn't it happening in your own homes? You think you're doing wonderful, your children laugh at you, you're no good. Because your mind is only relevant to a particular time, because it's the influence and a product of a certain time. So Krishna is saying, don't go by the ways of your body, don't go by the ways of your mind, you have to go by your swadharma, the way of yourself, because it is always constant and it is pro-life. Your mind, your body, people can do things with their body which destroys life, isn't it? Compulsions of the body can destroy life. Compulsions and madness of the mind can destroy life. Swa means that which generates life. This is always for your life. If you go by your swadharma, you will be a full-fledged life, an exuberant life. You will understand the immensity of what it means to be human. If you go by the ways of your mind, you will know your pettiness. If you go by the ways of your body, you will know your compulsiveness. Only if you go by your swadharma, you will know the immensity of your life. This is not about past, present or future, it is always relevant. Now, what are we doing about this country? We're always busy complaining about politicians and somebody else and somebody else. Knowingly or unknowingly, we took up democracy. That means it's an active participatory sport. It is not a spectator sport. We choose democracy, but we still wanting to bask in monarchy. Our mind is still feudal, in the sense, it is not somebody who is in power alone doing this. Just everybody is of the same mindset. Very few people are free from this. If you are doing well, then you want your son or daughter to nourishify inside, in your company, in your institution, in your nation. This is monarchy, this is not democracy. So if you have chosen one system, you must have the strength and the commitment to walk the way, all the way. You take 2 steps in democracy and you want to go to feudalism, you want to go to monarchy system, it's not going to work. Democracy is a brutal system, because democracy means you may make it big, but your son may not make it. Democracy means who you are matters, who your father is does not matter. Yes? If you are following monarchy, who your father is matters. Democracy means only who you are matters, who your father was, who your grandfather was, does not matter. Do you have the courage to walk this path? You better walk this path, because we've chosen to walk this path, isn't it? For yourself one law, for somebody else another law. It's not going to work. All of us should follow this, isn't it? Who you are matters. Even for your children, who they are matters. Whose children they are should not matter tomorrow. To some extent, till they come to a certain stage, yes, not afterwards, isn't it? So, we need to overhaul our minds. We have chosen a system for which we have not adapted yet, so we are struggling. We are in a struggling phase. And another problem is, our education systems are essentially imported. So we are producing brown-colored English people even today. The moment you get educated, you hate everything that's Indian.